Hello, I'm Michael Solomon, coming to you from my brand new studio here in downtown Philadelphia. You know, there's a Chinese curse that says, "May you live in interesting times." Well, these are definitely interesting times we're all experiencing now. In my career, I've found myself in lots of interesting places. I've given keynotes on 6 continents. I'm still working on getting to Antarctica to complete the list. For example, here I am speaking recently to several thousand marketing executives at a branding conference in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Traditional perspective is that brands are assets that are created and controlled by the firm. You think of the brand, you develop the brand, consumers buy the brand. Today, we need to look at brands as co-created entities. That is, you play a part in it, but your consumers also play a role in deciding what your brand means. I've also had the privilege of working with a lot of companies to help them to become more consumer-centric. You can see some of them here. But speaking while quarantining is a brand new experience for me. We all need to make adjustments to life in the new normal. For you, maybe that means what seems like an endless series of Zoom meetings as you try to keep your kids and pets out of the background, or maybe you're discovering the joys of Zoom happy hours with your friends. But for me, that means lecturing to my undergraduate and MBA students at St. Joseph's University, where I'm a professor of marketing. They watch me on Zoom, sometimes while they're lying in bed. The new normal for a speaker is working even harder to keep the attention of a lot of busy people. One of the biggest challenges for companies today is engaging their customers. In a world where everyone is constantly distracted, marketers must continuously invent new ways to talk to their customers. The new normal also means delivering virtual keynotes here in my new studio. I've always included a lot of visuals in my keynotes, including a lot of advertising examples from around the world to back up the points I'm making. But now I have to work even harder to use photos and videos like this one of my favorites, to keep audiences engaged. And just as with traditional keynotes, I customize each and every presentation I do. I can even incorporate your organization's color palette and other materials if you want. Here's an example of a project where we match the color palette and logos of our client Avon's Mark brand. And I can either do a live link or pre-record a presentation and then come on live for Q&A if you prefer. As you might guess, since I'm an expert on consumer behavior, I've been getting a lot of requests to talk about what life will be like for marketers and their customers in the new normal. I believe that a good way to think about this is to imagine our society as a block of ice. In normal times, the ice is frozen and it doesn't change very much. And in normal times, many consumers have their set ways of doing things. They use certain brands consistently to help them live their lives. As any challenger brand knows, it can be a struggle to motivate people to change their habits and try new things. But sometimes a big event happens that causes the ice to thaw. As it unfreezes, it takes on new shapes. In the same way, a big event like the pandemic causes consumers' habits to unfreeze. That means they're suddenly open to trying new things. And changes that were just starting to happen accelerate. For example, many people now are looking at automation in retail settings more favorably. After all, robot salespeople don't catch the same kinds of viruses that we do. So, despite all of the horrible consequences of this pandemic, at least it does create opportunities for new products and services. But that opportunity doesn't last forever. That block of ice will eventually refreeze and take on a new shape. In the same way, as we adjust to life in the new normal, we'll acquire new buying habits, and these will continue after the virus is gone. That means the time is now to identify market opportunities before things refreeze into a new shape. So how do we do this? Well, that happens to be a new keynote that I've recently written and I've given a few times. But here's a short answer as well. In one of my recent columns for Forbes, I lay out 3 fundamental drivers of consumer behavior in the new normal. I call this approach stepping on the gas: gratification, agency, and stability. Each of these drivers offers opportunities for organizations to provide products and services that consumers will look for. The first driver, gratification, is just what it sounds like. People are fed up with the lockdown, and they're looking for ways to cure a bad case of cabin fever. Unfortunately, economic concerns prevent many consumers from splurging on the products and services they miss so badly. So anything companies can do to provide options that won't break the bank will go over well. During the Great Recession a decade ago, we saw an increase in sales of premium ice cream. That's an affordable luxury that allows people to feel good, but to do so responsibly. So think of it as affordable luxury. Agency means feeling that you're in control over your life. That's something many of us have lost, and we search for ways to restore this control. In fact, that's probably the main reason that people began to hoard toilet paper and other necessities when the pandemic hit. If they couldn't keep from getting sick, at least they could be sure their households had the basics. Finally, stability means that people are looking for familiar experiences during a time of great turbulence. They'll be loyal to tried and true brands that continue to provide value that support them during these difficult times. So for example, sales of comfort foods like canned soups and macaroni and cheese are spiking as consumers seek out comfort foods. In order to survive and even to prosper in the new normal, your organization needs to understand what drives consumers.
Know that marketing is all about satisfying needs. But in order to do that, we have to understand why people buy what they do.
I've spent most of my career helping companies to understand the important disruptions that are going on in the marketplace. Even before the pandemic, we were witnessing fundamental changes in culture and technology that are forcing marketers to rethink the very basic assumptions they make about their customers. I've written over 30 books on consumer behavior and marketing. Some of them are here. Here's an example of an important disruption. Even the tried and true approach to market segmentation, dividing our customers up into large, homogeneous pieces like male versus female, rich versus poor, and so on, no longer apply in an environment where we're able to target each consumer individually.
You all, I know the term market segmentation. This is, again, Marketing 101. This is the gospel of marketing, and basically that's exactly what it means. Let's put people into boxes. Let's give them categories like, are they rich or poor? But there's a slight problem with that, and that is that consumers don't like to be put into boxes. Once you start understanding that those boxes no longer exist, it can have a profound impact on the way you think about your customers.
Today's consumer is more like a chameleon that changes its colors all the time. In the same way, your customers use the brands they buy to change their very identity, sometimes several times during a day. That's why you need to understand the new reality of doing business in the new normal. My newest book, The New Chameleons, reveals many of the most important disruptions that your organization needs to understand. If you want, we can arrange to provide copies to your audience before or after a keynote. I've had the privilege of speaking to many associations and companies over the years, ranging from the U.S. Army to Microsoft to the National Kitchen and Bath Association. Here are some of them. So, welcome to life in the new normal. I'd love to customize a virtual presentation for your organization, or fingers crossed, an in-person one soon. Meanwhile, stay sane and healthy. Thanks.